Ayo Luckies, welcome back to the Luck Management Podcast. This is your host Carter Loesch, and welcome to 2024, the Luck Management Lifestyle Year. This year is going to be filled with luck, but it's also going to be the hard work and determination that you guys put in, and it's going to be a great year for the Fighting Irish. Today's episode is one of the coolest and most amazing episodes I have ever done. I had the distinct effort and ability to speak with the 1988 national champion from Notre Dame, the starting linebacker, Darrell the Flash Gordon. I mean, it was a phenomenal conversation. He was so wonderful to be able to talk about his determination and how Notre Dame had tough seasons from before and built it all the way back to win that national championship in '88, one that we have been searching for years. His insights on pushing hard and how Lou Holtz made him be the man that he needed to be and the determination he needed to get into that role. It was so wonderful to be able to talk to him, but it was also a beautiful moment in time to be able to learn about his determination. He's a Fortune 500 and nonprofit millionaire CEO. He is a strong advocate for family, for faith, and he cares about the Notre Dame community. I love this interview, and I was so happy to be able to sit down with him and get a better understanding of what the world in Notre Dame football, but what it does beyond. We've always talked about Notre Dame being not only a 4-year institution, but a 40-year decision, and he exemplified it and showed it. He talks about his time and how he builds his goals, and you're going to get some really wonderful information that for this next year of your life, you're going to be able to take that and go the Flash Gordon lifestyle way. So, as always, this episode is brought to you by Charm ND. You know, get your Charm ND, get your piece of Notre Dame, and yeah, go Irish. So, as always, keep living the luck management lifestyle. Woo! Ayo, welcome back to the Luck Management Podcast. This is your host, Carter Loesch. Today, we have on a very special guest. We have on Darrell the Flash Gordon, the author of Change Does Not Occur in a Flash, which is an incredible book on being able to grow yourself as a person, being able to develop as a person, being able to be someone that can make change and, sustain change. Also, and maybe something that every Notre Dame fan wishes in these moments, a 1988 National Football Champion at the University of Notre Dame, starting linebacker for the University of Notre Dame in the glory days, the days that every Notre Dame fan thinks of. And on top of that, already two amazing things, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar youth organization, the Wernle Youth and Family Treatment Center. Darrell Flash Gordon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Carter. It's a pleasure to be on, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys today. It's always great to be in God's country, right? So I love your shirt, God's country, Notre Dame. This is God's country. So again, it's an honor to be on your show today.
100%. And why don't we just kick it off really quick? The idea and the basis around this podcast is called luck management. And to look at your career, to look at your life, I feel like you've done a lot of it. But what luck management means to me, it's the hard work that you are putting in and day out that brings luck. So when you capitalize on those opportunities, good or bad luck, right? Sometimes you run into bad luck and you have to adjust. Sometimes you run into good luck. How do you adjust? You have to foster that growth and that growth mindset for success. So by being prepared and adaptable,
you will be lucky. And so I want to kick it to you. What are your thoughts on luck?
You know, luck is I think exactly what you mentioned. It's preparation, right, Carter? I mean, so often we talk about luck and wanting to be lucky and luck of the Irish, but truly luck is hard, dedicated, committed preparation to the mission or vision that you're trying to accomplish. So if I am trying to be successful, I better make sure I'm not sitting on the couch every day saying, I hope I get lucky and are able to play for Notre Dame one day, right? Or I hope I get
Mm-hmm.
lucky and able to play for the NFL. I hope I get lucky and become CEO of a multi-million dollar nonprofit, or I hope I get lucky and a book appears out of nowhere. There is no opportunity for luck when you put commitment and dedication before it, right? So if I am committed in dedication to the mission and vision, I'm going to be lucky. And we can call it that at the end of the day, but let's call lucky success. That's what it really is. It's a success and a measurement stick of how you performed previously in your life.
Yep, being able to take that adversity or being able to actually have a clear direction. I think so many people are running around the world pretty rudderless. They don't have a direction, or they have an idea of where they want to be, but there's no actionable setup of how to get there. Um, can you talk a little bit about how you have been able to move through and accomplish these things? Has it always been, hey, I know I want to do this, and then you got there? How did you do that?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I was just having a conversation with another colleague, about my life and about theirs, and I was asking them, tell me a little bit about, where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. And they were just saying, I just kind of live, and after college, I hope this happens, and I hope and I pray that this happens in my life, and but I just, my life kind of took me this way and that way, right? And immediately in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, you're not very strategic. And I'm probably talking about 80% of the American people. They're not very strategic. And, I also attended Harvard's University and certified in strategic planning and nonprofit management. I think strategic planning in your life and your career, in all aspects of what you do, is mandatory if you want to be successful, right? If you want to lead. So in my life, I lay out a strategic plan every year. So, the end of December, the beginning of January, I establish a strategic planning document that talks about what I want to accomplish with my family, and then what I want to accomplish financially, what I want to accomplish with my career, and what I want to accomplish in my spiritual life for that particular year. And I normally get come 89 to 90% within the expectations of those strategic plans. Now imagine me doing
Well,
that every year. You are you're not going to be lucky in being successful. You're planning for where you want to go and what you want to do. Um,
yep,
i- i- you know, so when I talk about planning, we do that every year in our organization. We have a strategic planning um, 4 day session. We go away and we just spend time with a consultant, and we talk about what do we want to accomplish for the next 3 years. And that's the vision,
cool.
and that's the guideline, and that's the direction we find ourselves working out every day for the next 3 years, and in hopes and pray that we get there. I talk to colleagues, and they talk. Well, we don't do so much strategic planning. We just kind of make sure this year we hit our budget, and that's about it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how are you going to compete if you're not strategically setting yourself up for the ultimate success in life? And that's again, I think that's half the battle.
Yep. So at first you need to create that planning, but then you also have to have the faith and, ability to believe in yourself. I don't think that you can be lucky if you don't believe that you can be lucky, or that you don't believe that you can get to that next step. So, you know, they say you do 100% planning and you settle for that 80 to 90%. It's like shooting for the stars, settle for the moon for a little bit and know that you
Yeah,
can maybe take that into the next year, right? Um,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
and one of a coach that you had, Lou Holtz, if you've ever heard of him, he has this quote that I've fully adopted on this podcast where Kathleen Kiefer, she went to Notre Dame. She was an 85 grad. I had her on here. And she said, Lou Holtz's quote, "Luck follows speed." And so you have to be fast and you have to be able to cut your losses quickly and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep moving, keep pushing forward. That's awesome.
That, that's awesome, Carter. You you make a great point, right? Cut your losses fast. Hopefully, you're not in those spaces very long, right? That you that you
Right?
want and have to get out of those predicaments. But perseverance, right? That's what perseverance is: being able to fight through those very difficult times, and that's how you build character too, right? Some people's like, I've had a great life. If you had a great life, then you really haven't lived, and you haven't really um, been able to work through adversity in times and days when you're going to be dealing with some tough stuff, right? So I've always said I want to align myself with people that have gone through adversity. That's on the football field.
Yep.
That's in the courtroom. That's in the organization that I work. I want those people to have failed. If you, that's important, right? I think that's ultimately important for us is to make sure that you are working with people that have battled through difficulties and adversity. If they haven't, when those times come, you're going to find yourself in a very difficult space, fighting all by yourself. And that's not
Yep.
that's not what you need if you're trying to build a successful team. Individually, that's possible, but as a team, it's even more difficult to accomplish. So that's why
100%.
when you see organizations that are not excelling, I would evaluate the people that leader has around them, right? And if those people are not the type of people that have dealt with adversity in the past, it's going to be very difficult for them when they hit it, for them to persevere through it.
I 100% agree. Well, circling back a little bit, first, I love being able to talk about that first initial feeling and see where the conversation goes. But I want to get started and just talk about uh, current day. On the podcast, we always do this thing called the highs of the week, things that were strong and good for you this week. So, were there any highs this week that you can highlight or any shout outs that you can have for people in your life?
You know what? Yeah, absolutely. I have two unbelievable kids, and I've been blessed to be able to work with them and help them develop and grow. And as I told you before, my life is very strategic, and we set goals in our home, and they set goals in their homes to be successful. So one of those strategic plans and goals we had. Um, 8 years ago, really, with my daughter, when she was a ninth grade a student in high school, is she wanted to really go and be a cardiothoracic surgeon. That's what she knew she
Oh,
wanted
wow.
to do. Yeah, and she wanted to be a basketball player, but a really good basketball player. And I said, well, there's a few things we're going to have to do academically. We're going to have to be in a stratosphere that's unparalleled. And then second, we're going to have to make sure we train. We got to
Yep.
consistently train for the next 4 years. And we did that. And I will say that ninth grade, she wasn't a D1 player. By
Hmm.
her senior year, she really became a D1 player, was an all state basketball player, and
Wow.
graduated with honors, and went on to attend Harvard University. So she's in her senior year now there at Harvard. She decided not to play basketball. She wanted to focus her attention on academia, and
She's
I'm
got
proud of
plenty
her.
to
Proud.
focus on.
So I'm really proud of her commitment and work. But again, and we persevered on many things, right? But that is something I am so proud of because she has one more semester prior to graduation, and my son is a senior in high school, and we talked about his freshman year in high school. What do you want to do? Who you want to be, right? Because I wanted to know how I could help him, and he said, Dad, I really want to be a quarterback. He was a really gifted athlete in basketball, baseball, and football, but he really wanted to be a quarterback, and he knew what that meant. He had to push aside baseball and basketball, and which he's
Hmm.
never done in his whole career. And in doing so, I said, well, listen, you're an okay quarterback today. You're not anything that any school would be calling up for, right? And sure enough, I said, if you're interested and you're committed, we'll put all of our energy into that process for you in the next 4 years. And
Yep.
and we develop a plan. And at the end of the plan, again, he's in finishing up his second semester of his senior year. He just got multiple offers from all the Ivy Leagues, all the Air Force, Notre Dame, Northwestern, for many particular positions, running back, wide receiver, and quarterback. I think what's most gratifying is, you
Wow.
know, he became an all-state football player after he was pretty much not even on the radar his freshman year, but through his hard work and his commitment. But secondly, he committed himself and is going to the University of Harvard along with his sister as a quarterback. So, again, you talk about
Congratulations.
what am I proud of? I'm proud of people that put forth the work, and both academically and athletically. And at the end of the day, um, they are able to celebrate. Those hard days and those hard evenings and those hard years to get to where they're going. So, this he has another chapter in front of him, and see how I can support him in that. But again, I'm proud of him. I would have rather him be at Notre Dame, being a Notre Dame alum, but I do love
Yeah.
his decision, and I do appreciate it's his journey, not mine.
First off, congratulations to both of your children. That is fantastic, number one. I can tell you're a little bit competitive, and I can tell that they're a little bit competitive, and that nature runs through of finding that level to get to where they want to go. Second, uh, to be a surgeon like that and go to Harvard and have to make that tough decision, you know what? Sometimes you got to put your direction into one thing and go all in. But the fact that she was able to take her athletics and her studies into turning it into Harvard, I mean, Harvard is a fantastic, wonderful institution. And to see your son, hopefully, she doesn't feel like he's going to be stepping on any toes because she's going to be moving out. But really cool to be able to see that. Cambridge is such a beautiful, beautiful campus too.
Yes, yes, unequivocally. Again, when you talk about, luck, is it luck for them? Or is it the hard work and commitment and dedication that they put in that lends itself to now be lucky in the selection that they've made, right? So again, great statement, great title, and great ending result.
Hey, maybe your son works for a couple years, then he transfers over to Notre Dame with the whole transfer portal going on.
Hey,
We
the way
got
the
guys
way the
moving
portals go,
everywhere.
the way the portal's going now, that's not a surprise either, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that occur. So,
Yeah,
again, but again, it's about having a plan and a strategy and an opportunity, right? So, but if you got the strategy and the plan and you put forth the work, then the opportunity, when it comes up, you'll be ready for it, right? So
yeah.
just be ready for the opportunity when it permits itself.
Like I said, shoot for the moon, settle for the stars, right? You shoot for Notre Dame, you settle for Harvard. Fine.
Hey, what the? I love it. I love it. Exactly.
Uh,
There you go. There you go.
well, you know what? I want to get into that. Speaking of Notre Dame, would love to understand what you think about Notre Dame's evolution as an institution has been since you have left, but also as the football team. I mean, I'm sure you still have that ring. Like I've lived 27 years of my life, and I am, I am digging to get that back there one day.
Yes, yes. You know what? Yeah, I've watched Notre Dame evolve, and I talk about it in my book. From many perspectives. Academically, we want a research and development institution, and today we are heavily involved in the research and development aspect of science, and I think that's a great leap in an area that we should be in, and we should be providing support around the world to meet the needs of our mission, which is helping
Hmm.
those less fortunate. So that is I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited in the caliber of people we continue to allow to attend the University of Notre Dame and how they represent us so well in everything that they do. Right? They are such beacons of representation, like yourself, in graduating and
Thank you.
doing great things and representing our institution the way that we see fit. So, and I also hear Father Father Jenkins retiring, and be a transition occurring, and I had the opportunity to kind of spend time with a few presidents from Hesburgh on, and I'm
Wow.
just watching how each one of them are putting their own stamps on the institution, and what
Yeah.
they want from the institution, while also keeping the mission front and center. So again, I am excited about that. Now, if I and again, as I understand, the rigors of the academia there at school is still strong, right? It's still
Doesn't
a
stop.
tough.
Yeah.
It's nothing easy to ponder when you get there. So that's exciting to know that they're still challenging our young men and women to be great academically in the classroom. So when they get in corporate America, they excel. From an
Hmm.
athletic perspective, again, I've seen and I've been part of a pinnacle of success, right? In winning a national championship and knowing what I had to go through to get there and what my colleagues and teammates had to go through to get there. And that is no easy road because there's only
No.
one team at the end that gets the opportunity to actually place himself in an environment so gracious as Notre Dame to the world, right? And you get to give it to the world as people that are not just athletic but also academically oriented. So we juggle more
Hmm.
than one thing. It's been tough to see them not achieve it since '88, right? And I'm honored to still hold the ring, but I'm not honored to still be the only one to have it after
Yeah.
'88, right? And that's
Come
why
on.
I say, Carl, that's why I say it's tough now to watch every day and not see us contend for a national championship, right? And I just think the time is coming. But with all
I
the
agree.
different expectations put upon us, now you got the portal, now you got the NLI, and then you got the diets that are necessary, and the psychologists that are on sidelines helping people think about how to catch a ball, right? How to keep their focus and in running a football, right? I mean, all of these other additions we've never had, or the Google, an unbelievable state of the art football facility that is now antiquated. They're talking about reinventing it again, right? And
Yeah.
all of these things that we are doing that, interesting enough, when I first arrived at Notre Dame, we had none of it, right? And we were winning national championships. And now, um, all of those things are required. And I think Notre Dame is putting forth the effort to accomplish and make sure they mirror up to all of their competitors to make sure those things are all in place so our athletes can grow to be national champions. Now it's just a requirement of our head coach and his assistants and the administration and our student body, and more importantly, the players all be aligned to where we're trying to go and trying to make sure that is only one road, and that's a national championship road.
It's a changing of the guard. I really do believe that having Freeman in here has just changed the whole excitement. I don't know if you've even seen, Micah Shrewsbury coming in as the new basketball coach. There's this excitement around the program. It's new with our AD retiring too, and the president leaving. It's allowing an influx of excitement, but also, hey, let's try some new things while also sticking to our core. I don't think Notre Dame's going to go out and be like, we're going to give you $10 million in NIL. We just don't do that. The name on like the front is much more important than the name on the back, and that's why we don't have our names there. But I will say, Eric Parseghian, Lou Holtz, all in their third year winning a national championship. I I believe that this third year we got Freeman here, and Notre Dame always plays a good schedule, but it's a little bit easier this upcoming year. I live in Houston, so like Texas A&M going to be a first big game of the year with these transfer portal guys coming in. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. I know that this year should have been a great year, but that's the Notre Dame in me, always looking like optimistic ahead.
That's the only way to be, Carter, right? You have to be optimistic, to live in our world. And I agree with you. Marcus is a great coach, and I think he's getting his footing, and he's learning, right? He's the first to tell you he's learning on the job. But for a guy to be doing it as well as he's doing it for the first time is impressive. He's
Yeah.
only going to get better, and I think he's learning. This portal thing and this NIL thing, and Notre Dame's learning about that, and how you're going to be able to
Yeah.
compete, right? Because Florida and Alabama and Clemson and all of our USC, that they're all trying to perfect that process because that's an edge, right? And you could be one player short of a national championship. We've seen that, right? Where you may be one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver short of a national championship. So I think Marcus is really trying to build the perfect program with the
Yep.
perfect and the right types of kids. So he's out there. As I understand, the guy is out there.
Ayo, Luckies. This episode of the Luck Management Podcast is brought to you by CharmND. Love the CharmND. CharmND is one of my greatest passions, and it is the side business that fuels the Luck Management Podcast, but also just fuels me internally. When I went to Notre Dame, I loved every moment, but I wanted to have a way of holding more than just a t-shirt or a sweatshirt from Notre Dame. Yes, I got my diploma, thank God, go Irish. But at the same point, I wanted to create something with that you could have keychains, you could have necklaces, you could have earrings. And so what I did is I went all around campus. I worked with the marketing team at Mendoza. I worked with the Idea Lab and the Innovation Center, working tirelessly to figure out what would be a great thing for students and people like that love Notre Dame to hold that piece of Notre Dame. And so I came up with CharmND, and we really have grown and expanded. And I always say really, but I'm the person who has the business. But we just got into the McCloskey venture, so hopefully going to be expanding. But at the same time, we are getting into this Christmas time. So if you need to get any pieces, check out my shop at Etsy. It's CharmND Shop, or go on Instagram where it's charm_ND. I truly love this. It fuels the podcast. It is amazing. I'm always building out new pieces for people, and I just want to make sure that you guys all get to enjoy and love Notre Dame as much as I do. They're great stocking stuffers. They're great gifts to give to your dad, your mom. The earrings are some of the best sellers, where you send them and you give them to your loved one, your girlfriend, what have you. But just be ready and get some gear from CharmND. So go Irish and go CharmND.
Recruiting kids.
He's
I mean, that's
everywhere.
unprecedented. He's all over the place. I'm like, hey, you got 5 kids floating around the house, right? How do you
keep up?
He's got to be a family man. He's got to be a husband.
He converted to Catholicism for Notre Dame. What a guy!
I'm excited right there. I'm excited. And you're right. 3rd year is normally the charm. So I'm hopeful he can put it all together. His 3rd year, and being that our schedule is a little bit lax than they have been in the past, and you now going to be in a 12-team playoff. That's it. It's all lining up, right? And all you got to do is win a few games, and you're in.
Yep.
So I say, let's get ready for 2024.
So 2 things on that. On NIL and the adversity that you had to face, first off, because the years prior to your national championship were not necessarily Notre Dame pinnacle years. They were some tough years. My dad graduated in '86. He was like, the 1 year I go to Notre Dame, like the football team didn't play. I think they went 4-8, and he was like, what's going on here? Am I the bad luck charm? And you had to deal with like a lot of adversity coming up to '88. If there was a transfer portal, do you think you would have seriously considered it?
That's a great question. Now I will say this about Faust, who recruited me. And I think Holt's done the same, but I can only speak to Faust from a recruiting perspective. Faust recruited people that wanted to be at Notre Dame and that believed in Notre Dame, and had backgrounds that parallel the institution. And I think we all had opportunities to go other places, but it's interesting when we were talking to other players on the team. They all selected Notre Dame not because it was a national power at the time. It was because it offered more than just football, right? It offered an academic and
Yep.
a national following. It offered an opportunity to have corporate connections. It offered an opportunity for national awareness. It and it offered an opportunity for them never to take your scholarship, guaranteed 4 years, right? It was it was an institution that had integrity and honor in what it did. And I would tell you, if there was a portal, I don't think I would have jumped into it because I don't know where I would have gone. That would have been better in preparing my life the next 40 years of my life
100%.
than Notre Dame. So you really have to evaluate those aspects of where you want to go and what you want to do. Because if it's just to play football, there's 365 D1 schools all over the place that you can select. But if you really want to round yourself out to be a successful leader, entrepreneur, CEO, or even an NFL player, then Notre Dame is an opportunity where you should be looking at, right? It's
Right?
God's country, right? So that's what you have to be looking at. So that's why I'm a little surprised Notre Dame has had so many people hit the portal.
Mhm.
And I know money gravitates, but there's other kids that are hitting the portal not because they're disliking the environment at Notre Dame. A lot of them, if not most of them, are hitting the portal because they realize they don't have an opportunity to compete at Notre Dame. So they want to
Yeah.
go somewhere
Yeah.
where they can compete, right? So you're not losing a starter or two. You're losing somebody maybe who's a third string that says, "Listen, I love the game of football too, and I want to play it somewhere." And
Hmm.
and I don't deny them those opportunities. I think it's wherever you decide, whatever you decide you want to do, then you should do it. And most of them are doing it, perhaps, hopefully after graduation.
Yep. Well, I'm going to clip that and send that to all the Notre Dame recruits because there you go. It's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision. I've heard that before, and that's how it should be. And you're right, though. There is this level. It's like, why would you want to go anywhere else? I get it. It gets a little cold, and they just abolished like having scooters on campus, so you have to walk in the cold now. But
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry,
didn't know
build
that.
some
I didn't know. I didn't
character.
know the scooters. I didn't know the scooters were abolished. When did that happen?
The last few weeks. So I know that that's like the smallest thing in the world, but people that don't like the cold, watch out. They're not going to like that. Those California boys, they're not going to be a fan of that. Well, at the same end too, looking at the college football playoff, I think it's amazing that we've expanded out to a 12-team playoff. But I do think it can make it a lot harder, right? Like you have a lot more roadmaps to run through and get there. Can you talk to me a little bit about your national championship season? I watched highlights from your first game against Michigan, which I don't know why we don't play Michigan anymore. We should bring back that tradition. But like seeing that and riding that tailwind into the season, um, can you talk to me about what that season meant for you?
You know what? That season has so many ups and downs for me. Um, I, and just quickly trying to go through that season. Um, that 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 first
You got a
that
lot. I
that
get
season,
it.
there is so much, right? I want to know where I want to start, right? I think I want to start at, finishing up my fourth year at Notre Dame. And I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
walking to Lou Holtz's office and him saying to me, Flash, and I'm a starter, 3-year starter, outside linebacker. And I'm thinking he's going to pull me in as he normally do with all the fifth-year guys. Listen, and especially if you're a starter, it's like a no-brainer. We really want you to stay unless you go in first round in the draft. And I wasn't
Yeah.
projected to go that high in the draft, so I needed that next year. And I remember walking to his office, and he said he sit there, and he was smoking a pipe, and he had his feet on his cherry oak desk, right? And he
Wow.
was, he had all this great, and behind him his armoire with all these great pictures of these celebrities, and major,
Mahogany and yeah, everything.
oh, it was the whole nine, right? And he said, Flash Gordon, and I remember I could hear him clear, Flash Gordon,
That's
I
good.
want your ass back here next year. Right? And it shocked me. It shocked me, Carter, because, I'm a starter. How do you not bring a starter back? And
Yeah.
I didn't know
You're the
what to
Flash.
say or how to.
Come on.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what are you kidding me, right? And it was too late to kind of move it because the combines were already over. So I had to move quickly, and I was like, listen, coach, I'm not prepared to go on to the pros or try that because the combines are done. You should have told me this earlier. He said, well, spring ball's about to start, and I'm sorry, sir, but the booster club is on my ass, and he said the alumni group is on me, and I have to present a national championship. Yeah, and we got to bring some kids in here, and I promised some kids that weren't you because you're one of Faust's guys, but I promised some kids that they were going to play, and I got to find room for them, right? And as a result, we're going to ask you not to come back. And I said, well, coach, that's not acceptable. And
you said, watch this.
Yeah. And he says, I'm gonna go on a recruiting trip, and in 2 weeks I'm coming back. And then when I get back, I'm gonna be able to evaluate you. And I'm gonna make a determination because I gotta think through that. That's what he said. And I remember going, as soon as he left, I packed my bags, Carter. I was in my alumni hall ready to walk out. I had all my bags packed. I'm sitting here. If he don't want me, I don't want you. Now, how often during adversity, we all find ourselves in that space. When our girlfriend says something, we say we're out. Mom and dad say something, we say we're out. A professor says something, or our boss says something, and we say we're out, right? But very few of us stand in that space and say, I'm going to prove them wrong. And I think that's the very moment where the epiphany hit, and I changed my life for the rest of my life. And I went to my position coach, and I said, hey, coach, would you sit down with me 2 hours a day this summer, every day, 5 days a week at least, and let's watch film, and let's talk about our prior competition and how I did there, and the teams we're going to be playing in the next year. He said, Darrell, I've never gotten that request. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you for 2 hours and do that. Then I went to my trainer, and I said, would you work with me individually 2 hours a day this summer, 5 days a week? And he's like, well, we already work out for an hour as a team. I said, no, I want 2 more hours, me and you. And he's like, well, I've never gotten that request. And sure enough, he agreed. After all of that, Holtz came in and he said, Darrell, after further evaluation and discussion, I decided not to let you come back. I said, hey, before you finish, I just want to let you know, I talked to my position coach, and at the time it was Barry Alvarez. He said he would sit down with me 2 hours a day and we're going to watch film. I said, also, I went with the trainer, and I told him I work with him 2 hours a day, and I'm committed to this movement, and I'm going to be bigger, better, and stronger. And I said, and I can guarantee you, every day in practice, I'm going to give you 120%. If I don't, you can immediately dismiss me from this institution. And I said, now I'm going to be going full speed every day in practice. That means some kids are going to get hurt, right? They're going to get hurt, and it's going to be what it is. But I think you need to know what this is really all about. And thereafter, we were able to resurrect, and I was being an example for all the other kids. And at the end, we played Michigan, and I performed extremely well. And throughout, I just served myself as a leader. I was the strongest guy on the team, pound for pound, that year, bench pressing about 440 pounds. I only weighed 220. And I was one of the fastest linebackers coming out. And but that whole season, right? That whole season started with preparation, right? And my ability to lock in. And at the end of the day, I knew what Lou Holtz was doing. He was really trying to motivate me to make sure that I gave my best my senior year, because he needed leaders that were going to give their best. So when you, Carter, when you think about leading an organization, when you think about leading a team, when you think about leading an institution, that you better be able to motivate each person individually. How he motivated me was totally different from how he motivated Tim Brown and how he motivated Rocket Ishmael. But we all need to be motivated differently. And as a result, he got the best out of all of us, which is one of his gifts, I think, as a coach. And I think those who are in corporate America and they're trying to figure out, how do I lead better? Find a way to motivate each one of your employees individually and not as a group. That's one of the key components of being a successful leader.
Fantastic. So coaches are so integral in our lives. And to have him tell you no after being 3 years of you grinding, or 4 years of working your butt off to play, and he comes in all like that. And of course a coach can do that, and maybe he knew what he needed to do to get light that fire in you.
That's right.
Gosh.
Well, but also, Carter, was he really trying to determine whether I even wanted to be there or not? Right?
Yep.
Because a guy that's committed to something is not going to run from it. Right? Mm-hmm. Somebody that's committed to something is going to say, listen, I'm going to show you. And those are the kind of people you want on your team. And you weed out the others that are quick to run. Right? It's interesting. I was reading a book, and it was talking about this unbelievable leader and a billionaire today, right? He's done unbelievable things. And he said, one thing that I do in hiring, when I make my hires, after the orientation is over, and these folks are going to make a significant amount of money in my tech company, he said, I then offer them $3,000 to leave. And you think about that. He said, I offer them $3,000 after orientation to leave my company. If they take it, I knew they weren't meant to be there anyway. But if they don't take it, then it tells me that they really want a career here, to be successful employees of this organization, which is the type of people that I really, really want. He said, that $3,000, I would have wasted it anyway with that individual being in my organization. So it's better to pay it helping him out the door. And again, what a great way of weeding out the people that you think need to be in your organization, those who don't.
That probably pays out tenfold, hundredfold in somebody that's there and motivated, because you can't fake authenticity. And so you lined up and you said, I'm going balls to the wall. Like, you guys are not going to stop me. Practice is going to be a tough day of reckoning for you each and every day. And I'm going to be coming in and earning it, because you saw it so close being taken away. And I think that today, and as we talked about in the portal, so many people can see it and they don't want to do anything about it, or it's so much easier to grab right there because of social media, because of everything's more enticing. I don't know, in a way. And I'm very proud of that, like, resolve right there. That's cool.
I will say too, our millennials, I know you fall in that category, but
yep.
we find ourselves that group finds themselves, if things don't go well, they leave, and they leave a corporation. Hey, I might just jump, as you mentioned, instead of fighting to earn that job, I'm going to leave and get in the portal and go somewhere else where I may not play there either. Right?
Yep.
But perhaps you could stay right at the institution that you are in and put forth the best work you can put forth and see what transpires after that. But nobody wants to challenge themselves. Nobody wants to go through adversity. Everybody wants everything given to them. And I tell my son, I said, listen, you're not going to be running from anything, right? If you're going to beat the guy in front of you, you're going to just beat him out. You have to, because that's what life is going to be about. You're not going to be able to leave one company, go to another, and hope you can be the star there. If you can't be the star at the first, you probably can't be the star at the second, right?
Yep.
So I realized that if I would have left, I would have missed the opportunity of getting a graduate degree. I would have missed the opportunity of going to the White House, meeting President Reagan and President Bush. I would have missed the opportunity of winning a national championship and having a ring, and also being one of the very last institutions or players to win a national championship. All because I decided, Carter, that I wasn't going to go home and pack my bags and do what 80% of the American people do. We leave, right? Because somebody doesn't want it. But most people are waiting for us to fight for them. And that's what we should be doing, fighting.
It is that fight. In my own life, but we talked about it a little bit earlier, sometimes you have to know when to cut your losses. Like, I had this job that I actually had to recently leave, but but it was because of the support system. It was because of the people that I had around me, because you can't just do it all on yourself. Because if you're not with that manager that is there for you, or you're not with that person that is giving you the opportunity to learn or to showcase your skills, that's when you should leave, right? But you need to have that resolve to know when you can push yourself and when you can't. And if you have the right people around you, then that process becomes that much easier. So I resonate with that. And then in terms of meeting and go to the White House and stuff, like, how cool is that? And in an era too, in '88, I guess it was going right into Bush becoming president. A lot of changes. I mean, we're moving still out of the Cold War. There's excitement around a Catholic university winning, faith filling in America. Can you talk to me about those moments there?
You know, like, those are special, special moments, the White House, the Catholic experience. But there's some sad experience associated with that as well. I can remember that same day going to the White House, and I'm in the Oval Office, and I'm in the Oval Office. It's unbelievable. And I'm outside on the grass of the White House, and there is Ronald Reagan presenting us with the National Championship Award, and he's putting on a Notre Dame Letterman jacket, right? And we're taking pictures. It was beautiful, Carter, and it was something I've never experienced. And one of my best friends, he was a walk-on. He was a cornerback, and I remember meeting him just having a great time. And we got back on the plane. We got back on the plane, and we were heading back home. And I remember when we landed, he said, "Hey, let's stop by a local establishment and celebrate with the locals, regarding our championship." I said, "Hey, that's not a bad idea." And we did. Yeah. And we went into the establishment, and neither one of us drank. And we were just having a good time and eating some food, and people coming over. We're signing autographs. And I remember him falling out the chair. And when he fell out the chair, I'm like, what are you doing? Get off the floor, man, because the floor is nasty. I remember sharing that. And he was just moving without any control. And I was looking at him again, and I'm like, you got to get up. What are you doing? And I look, and he's swallowing. I can't breathe. And I yell as loud as I could in the establishment, "Call 911, call 911." And I remember everyone triaging to him and trying to help him. And again, this is my best friend, quarterback, Notre Dame. His family did everything to get him there, right? And pay for his tuition. And he was on the ground, and I remember they finally took him into the ambulance, and he was there for another 15 minutes. The doors were closed. You don't know what was going on inside. The ambulance never took off. So I remember we then followed the ambulance to the hospital, and later me and the running back, Mark Green, was waiting in the waiting room, and then they came in and said he just passed. And we thought, and in my heart, the first thing that came to my mind was, his mom and dad didn't even see him receive the national championship ring, right? His mom and dad didn't even get to say hello to him after the game. It's the pinnacle of a walk-on to say, "Mom, I did it," right? "Dad, I did it." And I remember the NCAA allowed us to travel down because we couldn't receive benefits from the institution, but they provided a waiver. Myself and Mark Green was selected to travel down to his funeral to be part of it in representing Notre Dame. And I remember just seeing his family. They were so gracious, first of all, to hear what happened. But he had a heart issue. And so it was a reoccurrence of that. But again, I say to you, we don't know when our times are coming, right? And God is so good at everything he does for us. And some things he does, he puts it right in front of us. And I guess, there are reasons why I try to commit myself to helping others and commit myself to being, faithful to the Lord, because it's important that we do that, because he'll give right back to us when we give to him.
two things on that. That is such a heartfelt story, and that is something that, no pun intended, but life goes in a flash. Like
Amen.
I
Amen.
am 27. I still remember when I was 15, 16, running around and being the crazy kid. And I have had a couple friends that, one day you're on a call with them, you're seeing them, you're having fun, and the next day they're gone. And so having to understand that life is fleeting, it's like, do it now, because there is no time like the present, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I bet that that jump started you into saying, hey, I have to be so grateful, number one, for everything that I have. But number two, I don't have much time here. I may have 60 years, but no, it could go tomorrow. So
That's right.
once you left school, once you moved out of Notre Dame and you had this experience, first you probably had like a sophomore slump. You're like, dang, nothing beats this. Like this is amazing. But then you realized, hey, let's move into the next stage. Can you talk to
That's
me
right.
about that progression moving forward? You have a law degree, and now you're a CEO of a company helping people, which I have to say thank you. My brother's in recovery, and so like that whole world of helping people is I'm very gracious for.
Yes, it's interesting how I believe it's God's movement, right? From home to a Catholic institution, which I didn't know I was really going to, where there's a chapel in every dorm and there's a father in every dormitory. They're available for anything that you're dealing with. To now moving to a residential facility where we provide therapeutic treatment for young men and women that have been abused, neglected, or abandoned. They reside on a 100-acre campus for a year period of time. And
Wow.
I didn't know that when I went there, it's under the Lutheran umbrella, and it's affiliated with the Lutheran Church. And we help those that are less fortunate throughout the state of Indiana, Ohio, and they come to us from the judicial system or some from the Department of Education or probation or just independently from mom and dad that thinks their child needs help. And they sit with us because they severely are dealing with oppositional violent natures, bipolar, substance abuse, sexually abuse, mental abuse, whatever that may be. We hope to get them back on their feet and reunite them back with their families. So, my undergrad was in economics, but my master's was in science and administration, hospital administration. Nice. And then I went on, I thought I wanted to be a sports attorney, and I worked for IMG for some years, and then I went to the NCAA.
Oh, cool.
And then I just realized my calling was different, and God was calling me to do something different. And I remember leaving the lucrative legal field and going into nonprofit work. And that's when, I realized I was where I was supposed to be. And I've been there for 22 years. And I'm now in the process of looking at retirement and just seeing how I can begin to help other people outside of what I've been doing for 22 years. And, if that's, with more books or with speaking engagements or coaching, counseling them to be great, that's my mission and my vision. And I am when someone says, what's your purpose? I know my purpose in life is to help people reach their full potential. And I think I know how to do that, as I've done it at Notre Dame, winning a national championship and helping that team do that. I helped accomplish that at Wernle Youth and Family Treatment Center, being one of the most prominent nonprofits in the country. And I think I've done it with my own kids, reaching the pinnacle of their careers and going to Harvard and not one, but two, reaching those pinnacles and being athletic successes, right? So there is something that's common in the work that I'm doing, and I know one of it's God, right? Who's blessed me with that ability. So who else can I continue to help, be great, and that's what I want to be able to do.
Everybody has a very profound story, and so many people deal with abuse, neglect, and everybody's story is so personalized to them. It's not a one size fits all. And so being able to create an opportunity for people to come and be helped I just want to say thank you for being able to do that. I think that comes with faith, and that comes with the opportunity of, okay, I'm here, but why am I here? How am I making that difference? I um, I think that there's a lot of people my age, because you deal with a lot of social media, you deal with a lot of expectations because you go to these schools that are thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for. So then you have to pay off student loans. That people are not able to see some of their true callings.
Yeah.
And where I have been able to find more of my true calling is through faith and through building a relationship with God. And it seems like that has been a cornerstone of your life too. Um, have you ever seen the show The Chosen on Amazon Prime?
I don't think I have.
So it is a really amazing depiction of Jesus's life, and they're still making it. So it's about 3 seasons out. There's a fourth season coming.
Okay.
Really interesting movement through his life, and they spend about $10 million on an episode. Like, it's crazy how well they do production and
Wow.
everything, and they consider
Wow.
it's like rated 5 stars with thousands and thousands of reviews. So if you're ever looking for a show, I highly recommend it.
Well,
His movement there, yeah.
it's called The Chosen. I got a few weeks of vacation here coming up, so I like to binge
Sweet.
once in a while. So maybe that's a great binging opportunity to catch up on The Chosen.
Yeah, yeah. Huge fan. And I actually go to Joel Osteen in Houston, if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah,
Big
absolutely.
fan of him.
I listen to him every morning. I think he's a great pastor and does an unbelievable job in nourishing and growing his congregation. He does a great job. You should be proud.
He is a motivator and somebody that does make you believe in a little bit more than just yourself. And I think that everybody needs that. In a world where there can be so much neglect, believing in yourself. And I guess that kind of brings me into my next part. It's like, I'm reading this one book right now called The Happiness Advantage. And it's all around this basis of, once I get that job, or once I get that accomplishment, then I will be happy. But it's actually flipping it on its head, where you actually need to be able to be internally happy, internally proud of yourself, and internally making progress for yourself. And then you will be successful in these other things. And I think that you are showing that in what you did in your career and stuff, and how you've built that through. How have you worked to just make sure that you are doing what's right for you so that you can help people? You have any advice for people that are growing up, that are trying to figure out who they want to be and how they can get there?
Yes, that's a great question, Carter. I think first you got to find out what your purpose is in life, right? Once you determine what your purpose is in life, everything lines up to that. So I took about a week of my life, and I remember I went away by myself in a secluded place, and I just wanted to find out who I wanted to become, and how was I going to get there? What was my purpose? Why was I on this earth, right? Because I think every individual should find out, why is he on this earth? Like, you're here for a reason, Carter. You may not know that today, but you're here for a reason. But it's your responsibility to find out what that reason is. Once you find it, you everything will line up towards that. So, for example, when I realized that my purpose was not to make billions and billions of dollars, but it was to save billions and billions of people and help billions and billions of people, right? Once I realized that, everything I do now lines up to that. So I took a job, and for 20 years, I drove an hour and 15 minutes every day to and fro to get to work. Never one day did I say, God, I'm just tired of driving. I loved it. It was because it was my purpose. I was doing something I love to do. And once I found that, I realized this is something I love to do. Then I realized, you you once you see your purpose, you're able to boards that I'm on. I don't jump on a board because it's Procter and Gamble or it's Western Electric. I may join a board because it's a hospital, or
Yep.
because it's a YMCA, or it's an institution like Notre Dame that is giving back and is focused on people, right? That's my purpose, right? So I can say no to a lot of people about a lot of things that I know doesn't line up to who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish. So I look into your podcast and I try to see what you represent. And if it lines up to who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish, I say yes. If it doesn't, I say no. But it helped me weed out doing everything, right? Now you're moving in a direction that is aligned with who you're really supposed to be so that you can be the best at that person you want to become. So often, this is 80% of the American people. After college, they go to the Career Center and they interview with a bunch of people, but they don't know where they're going. They just interview with a bunch of people. And then they come back and says, hey, this pharmaceutical firm said they're going to pay me $100,000 to sell, syringes. Oh, man, I'm going to take this job. I'm going to be awesome.
Yep.
And they realize they're not even happy. They're not enjoying they got money, but they're not enjoying the very thing that they want to do. And that's why I challenge every person to determine what their purpose is and put the money aside for a moment. And even if that means you're going to do that job for a year and love it. You may struggle financially a little bit, but you'll love it and just see what happens. Perhaps because you are so passionate about it that you rise so fast in that company that people are saying, geez, he needs to be our vice president of this respective agency, or he needs to be the vice president of the Dog Pound USA, right? Whatever that may be, right? But I think we're chasing sometimes the wrong thing because we are watching others be successful. We see financial success, we think, oh, they're successful. But I think success lies in happiness, just as you mentioned, and their ability to be happy from within.
That is
I'm a little
T. I
about
resonate.
that.
Yeah, I feel that from you. Thank you.
Well, it's because I want all of us to be there, right? I want us all, and I'm actually wanting you to be there, Carter. I want you to make sure that you're not just chasing money, but you're chasing a passion that you really believe in. And when you do that, you're going to be so successful, right? I mean, it's like Michelangelo saying, you can be the best if you're going to be a street sweeper. Martin Luther. You're going to be a street sweeper. Be the best street sweeper you can be. Right?
Say that.
Just whatever that is.
Fast.
Right. Yeah. Amen on that. That's why I slowed it down. They don't call Flash for no reason.
Yeah, he quick. Hey. Yeah. No. No, that's me. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I've destroyed this whole world of I'm lucky for this. I got lucky. No. Time and time again, you have to put in the hours. I have spent hundreds and thousands of hours on building this podcast and talking to people. And the monetary things aren't there, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it to talk to people like you and feel that inspiration and be able to hear that like you are changing lives and being able to share it with somebody else. And that's fantastic. That's more than what money could ever pay for. And so I leave you with this last question on the Luck Management Podcast. Are you lucky?
I have worked so hard in my life, and I have strategically set my life up to be exactly where I want to be in my life. It is not by chance. It is not by circumstance. It is because I had a strategy. I executed the strategy, and I put forth the hard work. At the end of all of that, Carter, you call it what you want to call it. Luck. You can call it success. You can call it he's blessed. But there was a lot of behind the scenes that moves us to where we are today. And, I also got to give it up to just Jesus Christ, right? Because he is the edifice of our success, right? And I cannot ever say that I did it all myself, right? But I put forth a lot of work and then a lot of prayer. And I got lucky at the end. So let's call it luck at the end. But just know how I got there. Let's know how I got there. Right.
And
And the
that
same will be
is
for that's luck of the Irish. The luck of the Irish, I promise you, they have not gotten there by not practicing every day. I'll promise you
Yep.
that.
And that is the luck management lifestyle right there.
That's right.
Darrell Flash
That's right.
Gordon, this has been a profound hour. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Carter, for bringing me on. I think you are going to be overly successful. You know why? Because you're in your passion. Congratulations. God bless you, man. And just remember, it's God country, Notre Dame. God bless and go Irish.
It's God country, Notre Dame. So wherever you listen, Apple or Spotify, keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace. And then we end it right there. So that was thank you so much, Darrell. I'm really thankful for today's chat.
Well, thank you, and Carter, continue doing your great work, man. And I am going to follow you. Like, I want to see you later in life. I want to see you big. I want to see you know where you're going, right? So you set a plan as to what's the end game for you, because I know you already probably got one. But what's that end game? Are you on a TV show doing this? Are you, because it's going to grow and grow and grow, right? And you're putting all this work in. There's an end game. So find out what that is. And I want to be able to say I was one of the first that have had the opportunity to see him in his humbling times. So good luck and God bless you. All right.
Hey, thank you so
Take
much.
care.
We'll stay in contact and I'll email you further. So thank you.
Oh, sounds good. Take care, sir.
All right. Bye.